Okay, let's create a payment and send the email notification. We have so far we've made some progress on our view, if not our router that's handle payments, coupon payments. And remember, the coupon we are referring in this instance is not our regular coupon where you get some discounts by applying a code. This is sort of a special coupon. Let me go back on our flowcharts. So we have to check the coupon code. And if you have not yet watched my previous video where I talk about the coupon key which gonna be kind of like the initial step. It's going to be initial step where the user scan the QR code. I don't know if I have those if I have that particular flowchart here. Yeah, I do have it. As you can see, for a coupon key, and this is where the user, once they buy the coupon, a coupon on the market, mainly using cash as an alternative way of making a payment, they have to scan the QR code, and that QR code will redirect them to a URL, via URL. And when they click on that URL, it's gonna check the coupon key. If the coupon key exists, if yes, we prompt them to enter the username. If the username exists, we ask them to seal the coupon so that nobody else can use that coupon except themselves. The next step, we're gonna display the coupon code. They have to save this coupon code, copy it somewhere so they can use it to make a payment. Now, we are on the checking the coupon code. We are going to check the coupon code. If the coupon code exists, and remember, in this step, we are abstracting the user identification. We also have to identify the user, but we are assuming the coupon code is somewhere on the browser, under cookies, any browser storage. We are going to check if the coupon code exists. If it does exist, we also gonna check if the particular payload the user sending as an application number. Let me go quickly on the code and show you what's happening. Now, we have created the router or the view as a terminology used by Django. Django used a terminology view, and other framework use the concept of router, which means a end point. I mean, the action behind your endpoint. Let's go on our view. This is the view where we are going to check the coupon code, coupon payments. I mean, check the coupon code and make a payment. Now, if the user send the coupon code exclusively without the application number, we are assuming the user is using the coupon code to make a subscription payment. We could create these endpoints only to make a one-time payments where we are dealing with a user who doesn't have a subscription with our system, and they want to make a payment to initiate the application. So they either send a coupon code exclusively or remember there is an and or they send the application number. If they send both of them, we are assuming they want to make a one-time application, right? And for those of you who may have question on dispatch, dispatch is the first steps on Django REST framework to initiate the request. So this particular dispatch, we decorate that to have a cache control max to 0, and we are using a vary headers. But let's go down on our coupon. Yeah, let's go down on our coupon verification. Now, first we need to identify the user. If the user doesn't exist, we say invalid user credentials. If the user has sent the coupon code, if the coupon code does not exist, the coupon code is a must. If the coupon code in the payload does not exist, the coupon code required to make a payment because they're about to make a payment. And the coupon code must satisfy the required pardon formats, or the required pardon. So the format of that coupon code should be a 16 digits separated by dash, right? So we have 4444, and that's pretty much the format for credit card, but it's not gonna be a specific credit card which starts with a specific number to identify Visa or MasterCard. This gonna be random numbers. And then and for some of you will be like, who gave you the right to use credit card formats? Well, credit card is just a number, so we're just gonna use this format, but it doesn't mean that anybody can guesstimate or gets the number and then there was success. Wrong. It's practically impossible. By the way, this number will be generated using asymmetric cryptographic. So it's not just easy. And this number will be bound to the public key, which is the coupon key. And further down, what else we have? Of course, we have to check if the coupon exists. If somebody's, we have to check if the coupon exists by sending the owner, of course. We've customized the get object. We've customized the guest object because we want to use the get object both for getting the application, to confirm the application exists if the user ever send an application ID, application number, or if the user send both the application and the owner. I mean, these objects, it's either we either use that for checking the application or we use that for checking the coupon. As you can see in my last video, I was struggling a little bit raising this exception using the Django HTTP 404. I think if I say Django HTTP 404, that's the correct English. Instead of using the Django HTTP, which raised an exception with the response of status code 404, we are using the the API exception from Django REST framework, which is more extensible. Where are we? We are here on coupon payments, right? We define our throttle for that particular endpoints. We want to make sure the endpoints will be throttle rate limits, no excessive request. I think the throttle here will be effective because this we are, except if someone want to use that directly via a command line, the HTTP, like a curl, HTTP client should have said, like a curl and other. But if they are forcing that on the browser, since we have a backend application and the front-end application, our front-end application, we cache that and sort of creating a shield not to force the throttle. Because the Django REST framework throttle is not really, you know, there is a way for people that are well educated on the matter to get around the rates, but not for a layman or a generic customer or user. Now, we're gonna customize the response if we don't find. Now we are getting an object. We either getting the coupon or we getting the application. For the application, we're just gonna check the application number because the chance of this application being, the application number is kind of like the ID of our application model. As you can see, we have the application number, which is a primary key. So there is no way we can have two application number. And plus the primary key is always unique. Now we are raising the API exception instead of raising the Django HTTP 404. Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? I can use API exception to raise any type of error. You just pass the object and then you pass the code. We pass the message, and in this case, we're passing a dictionary to create a JSON object, right? I think on my tag, I'll probably have to tag so it can help somebody. API raise exception. Now, if the user ever send the correct coupon code format, of course, we continue. If not, we retain an error and valid coupon format. We've already tested that. We have bunch of tests. We have almost like a 7 tests or cases for this particular endpoints, but we are not gonna test all of them because this video will be longer if we have to test each test. But for myself, before I go on production, I'll make sure that I do at least a 90% to 89 code coverage, which means testing all these cases in particular test case. Now, if everything goes as expected, if everything goes right, meaning the user send the coupon code, he send the application number, we create the application, we prepare the creation of an application payments. Let me go back on our flow chart so we can see what's happening. This is our flow chart. Now, if the user send both the coupon code and the application number, you know, in this case, I say as the application number, it's optional. I'm referring to the payload having the application number. Referring to the payload having the application number. Okay? And of course, we have to check the application number. we have to check the application number, making sure that the application number exists. If the application number exists and the coupon code is valid, we create a payment. And where are we creating a payment? Let me show you quickly where we are creating a payment. We are creating a payment here, right? If the application number exists, and we also have to check the application, right? If the application, nobody can just send a application number with some character, you know, I mean special character and space. We have to make sure that we're sending the correct application number. So if the application number is alphanumeric and has a length of 11 characters, we create a payment. Now we've created our custom, not a custom, we just create a static method to create a payment, because we're gonna deal with payment both in case the application number exists or the application number doesn't exist, to create a subscription. Boom. Now once we create a payment, we trigger this particular Django signal, and this is where we're gonna send the email right here. Let's see what's happening. Oh, I didn't explain this. The process payment, we just instantiate the process class. The process class is the class where we wrap the class wrapping the creation of signal. You know, we create a signal and then we pass it under this send one-time payments method. We can also create a send subscription pay method in this same way, but the subscription method is not happening on the subscription method. The subscription of payment is not happening on one-time payments. We are going to use for the subscription, we are going to use the special Django post created here, right? It's actually the same, so we can copy this and paste it. Yeah. Okay, this code, if we do this, it's probably gonna fail. Let's do yeah, we're just gonna leave it like this. Yeah, this is gonna be unused. Okay, or we can go back. Let's make it this way, so you can create payments. Okay, and then we create a payment. Let me show you what we're doing. So we check the application number. If the we have to check the application number too. If the application number exists, if it exists, yes, we create a payment. That's where we're creating a payment. If it doesn't, if once we create a payment, we send the one-time payment and we send notification. If the application number doesn't exist, where we've sent it with the payload but doesn't exist, we exit. And I have a notation exit with 404. Okay, let's see what our signal, Django signal, is doing. And for the sake of this video, I'm just creating a simple text for the email. Now I'll speak French. Votre application numéro, which means your application number has been initiated and ready to be verified, right? So this is our Django signal. Django receiver. Django signal as a Django signal as sort of a polymorphism concept, because the same Django files that receive, we call that Django signal, which should be a receiver. Basically, this handle one-time payments, this handler is a receiver. The signal is this one-time payment. This is the signal, right? So we've created our signal right here in our class payment process. You see, this class can be extensible because class is always, it depends, there are some classes are not extensible, like I don't think if we use, what is the name of this class that is now a singleton? The singleton is now already extensible. I don't think people create singleton anymore with Python. I don't know. It depends of the case. But every class, the majority of design concepts, when you create a class, you're expecting that class to be extensible. By extensibility, I mean just adding new properties, as the class evolves. So we are in our receiver. We create a text message. This will be a text message, but when we craft this a little bit better, instead of using a text, I'm gonna use the HTML. So this one is optional. We don't have to use that. I'm gonna use the HTML message, which is gonna change the which one gonna the one that we send the email with the HTML MIME type instead of sending with the text MIME type. And the MIME type I'm referring is the MIME type from the SMTP /TCP or standard, right? MIME type I think stands for multi-purpose and enhance, multi-purpose and engage, multi-purpose and exchange multimedia embedding, something like that's a MIME type. It's a specs. It's a SMTP TCP specs that define different types of data you can send via TCP/IP, mainly on the application layer. Cool. Now we are sending our email, but when we do the testing, you're not gonna see that. This will only work on the production. With the testing, we're not gonna see anything. Now, in my title, I promised about creating invoice. Remember, there is business issue a pre and a post invoice. A pre-invoice implies an amount due, right? Or a service already, right? A service to be, right? To be rendered, something like this, right? A pre-invoice implies an obligation an obligation to perform before a service. I'll use the word, a pre-invoice is a quote, right? And a post-invoice is a record. A record is a record that certify a transaction. A transaction which may be a service transaction or a trade transaction. Right? But in this case, we need to create an invoice for these one-time payments. And where are we gonna create that invoice? We can create that invoice right here. Right here. How we just I was trying some async, but we can just leave it. From subscription model, import invoice. Let's see what invoice has to offer. Invoice needs a user who's making a payment. It needs a payment, an amount. And this is invoice record. It's not invoice files. We also need to issue invoice file so that a user can have the ability to go somewhere, see all the invoice and download that as PDF file, usually as a PDF file. But before we generate an invoice as a PDF, we need to create an invoice record. That's why on the title of this video I say invoice record instead of invoice file, because the difference between the invoice record and invoice file, the file is the actual file that the user has to download to keep as a record. A record is a database record we will keep for us. So we need the user and the payments and the amounts. The amounts we get it from the user. This is sort of repetitive, but we can have that. I wouldn't say repetitive because this invoice can come from a recurrent payment from subscription or from a one-time payment. So the amount is legitimate. We have to have a feed amount in this case. The currency, we use the local currency, and this will change if the application become a little bit, is taking more country than one country. It can change. The rates, we have to pass the rates so we can calculate the amounts in dollar on the invoice, because in every country, even if people have the local currency, they always have the equivalent amounts on dollar currency. So we have to pass the rates on that particular time. Due date, we're just gonna put the now because status, it's gonna be paid because it's a one time. Invoice time, we're gonna create it's gonna be a one time invoice. So that being said, let's go ahead and start creating an invoice. Creating a post invoice, which means the transaction has been already concluded. It's not a pre-invoicing. Some of you will be like, why you have to use the suffix pre and post? Yeah, because that's the way it works, right? If a customer ever sue your company to the courts will ask you this question: do you have to issue that invoice prior to the service or after the service? You will answer. So when you're building application, it's not just you're building for yourself. You are considering business factors, you are considering worst case scenarios, you are considering what if. Not too much dwelling on negativity and what if questions, but you have to prepare for the unexpected. Now, invoice equal invoice object create, but we need to prepare the feed of our invoice. Let's create a variable called invoice attributes, which gonna take a user. A user will be the owner we are sending here. It's gonna take the amounts. The amounts will come from payment amounts. What else? It's gonna take the currency defaults, the rates of that particular day. I mean, the rate has to be automatic because there will be a place where we are changing the rates, right? We don't have to change it. We have to have a third-party API that we get the current rates and update that on all. No, wrong. What am I talking about? Yes, we need a third-party API that we get the current rates. But the current rates, not every invoice will have the current rates. No, we have to have a different rates because as you and I know that the rates fluctuate. So we have to consider rate fluctuations, as our transactions are happening. Watch me as I bring this on the table. People will eat and I bet you they will celebrate. Okay, rates. Let's go. The rates in this case, let's just put the rate. Let's just insert the rates. Manually, unfortunately. $34.9. That's the approximate rate. Due date's gonna be now. Yeah, due dates. Before we do due dates, I think status was the most important field of the invoice. Yeah, the user and status is because we have to, it's one of the most important, not the most important. Status should be paid. Status paid. What else we need? Invoice type once. Invoice type will be supposed to be one time, but I'll say once. Yeah. One time is once, so why not just one time will be the label. One time is the label, just in case we're using Django form or we extend these invoicing things on admins for customer representative, and assign them permission to go change something on invoice if it's gonna make sense on the business side. Subscription. The subscription will be null because this invoice is not for subscription. So subscription equal none. Invoice type. Did I have already done invoice type? Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Oh, due dates. Yeah, every time I came across a 6 numbers, I always see 7 as something close. So I think by 7 it will be, oh, 8. We need payments too. Payments will be payments because we need the payments. Payments. User. What else is missing? Due dates. Due dates. What is the type of due date? Is a date. We don't need the date and time. Ooh, due dates should have. Yeah, the due date is a date. We need a new key. I will do that later. We need a new key on Invoice. That key will be generated on. I know some people use the preposition at, which refer to the time, but I use on because I believe and I think it's logical that date comes before time. I don't know. And when we're referring even to the time, like a big wrapper of a date, is still the preposition of time. It's always on. So I think on this is gonna be the it's going to be dates dates time, right? It's gonna be date time feed, and it's have a auto. It's gonna have a auto now to true, so we can know when this invoice has been generated, right? And print it on the paper, on the PDF when we're gonna generate a PDF. And the generation of the PDF will be a task or something we can create that will generate a PDF and send it on Google buckets or AWS buckets. And whenever the user go on the front end, they want to see the invoice, we send them link and they can click on that and download. We're getting there. Due dates. Let's import the Django time. From Django util import time zone. So we're gonna import time zone. Time zone now dates. We could use time zone now. It's gonna only extract dates, but I'm not sure. Let me just use date. And ready to create our invoice. We spread our dictionary so we can create a key value pairs for each record. And of course, if invoice exists, if we create our invoice, we just have to print. And this is just for demonstration on this video, but I really want to get it polished up. I will probably do something else to make sure invoice has been created. Or we could just make it, since we are testing the email, if the email has been sent. Now I'll show you how to Yeah, let's print quickly because there are a lot of things are happening in my brain, but I have to do only one thing at a time. Yeah, one operation time, sequential. Even if our brain, did you guys know that even if our brain has the capacity to multi-process, but our brain works at its best when it's working on one task at a time. Right? Our brain works at its best with asynchronous processing. Right? 1 0 1 0, like this. If it's working on one task at a time, our brain is more performance in that particular operation. But when we are doing, a lot of things, it's not healthy. Okay, invoice has been created. Has been created. Boom. Just to make sure that we create our invoice. So we have to create an invoice and then send the email. We could even create an invoice and then what I would do in all actuality before pushing this application in production, I will have this task being created. I will demonstrate that here. We're going to try a little bit of asynchronous code here. I will have this invoice task being created on different thread. I'll open a transient loop, async loop, and I create an invoice. I get the results of that as a URL, and then I send that URL here. Your application has been initiated. This is to see your invoice. Click here to get your invoice, and then we send them on that email, and that email will be the HTML email, and then they can click see the invoice. But let's just make sure that it's working with our test. Now, we're not gonna see when you're using send email in Django, you don't actually send email. Django creates a patching, so Django emulates email sending. Let's test Python manage test tag equal payments. What is the name of that tag? Coupon payments. Coupon payments. Boom. It works. So invoice has been created, as you can see here. So we create our invoice, and remember, we are doing synchronous, operation, which means all these sequence of operations are sequential. If I can do a little bit of tautology, are bind together, right? So they're sequential. So we've said created, but I'm gonna do when I go on production. I'm gonna be semi, events, oriented with my architecture. I'm gonna do a little bit of sending to a task, things like this, things like creating an invoice, right? Now, are we gonna know that the email has been sent? This is where Django check your mailbox. Django has a sort of monkey patching. Unfortunately, that's the concept they use in software engineering. Django patch this, is sort of patch behind the scene your send email class. Your send email method. What is send email? This send email. Django behind the scene patch send email and check that it has been run with a new message. If that email has been sent and Django confirm that, oh, there is a new outbox, you've sent something. So this is the way you can do that. If this has ever failed, it means that the email was not sent, right? And then the sending here, it doesn't mean that the recipient has to receive that. It just means that you send, right? Yeah, in technology, there's a lot about sending and receiving or checking, right? It would be better in the future. I don't think they will ever do that, because you can't go check if the users actually receive the email, because even the SMTP itself, it doesn't confirm. I don't know, because it's been a long time since I checked the standard of the SMTP, but I'm sure there is no way in the SMTP to check that the email has been received. There is only a way that the email has been sent, right? So now we are going to do a little bit of async, a little bit. We're gonna create a transient event loop a little bit, so we can see the way we can decouple. Is that decoupling? No, I'm not gonna use the concept decouple. So we can separate this operation, creating an invoice. Instead of creating an invoice in the same thread as sending an email. Oh, I forget to mention something that is so important. Why the user is making a payment? The user is making a payment so he can change his or her application status from offline to initiated, right? Legally, both party has to perform on the obligation. Speaking of legally, Doge. Let's talk about Doge. Doge is the new department. What does Doge stand for? I don't even know. Doge meaning. No, Doge department. What am I talking about? I'm actually Googling that. Department of Government Efficiency, right? And with Doge, Elon didn't agree with the other guy, Vivek. They didn't agree in terms of making Doge illegal, or making Doge legally oriented versus being technologically oriented, right? So Elon Musk wanting Doge to be technologically oriented, which means we can only enforce rules and check on the government spending via technology. But Vivek say, no, we can only enforce and check on the government's accountability and spending via the Congress by legal. But I wouldn't say that both of them are right, because if they could use the law going more legal and more technology, it will work, because technology today works end to end with the law. So why not? I think it was more than I mean, the philosophy behind Doge being illegal component support by the Congress and using technology to enforce law. Either way, I digress. I went a little bit tangent. Should I say tangent or yeah, tangent? Okay, so the user is paying, the customer is paying because they want to initiate the application. So both parties, which is us, the company, and the customer, they have to perform on their obligations in plurals. So the user, when the customer pay, we change the application status from offline to initiated, and then we save the application. And somewhere, you know what's gonna happen. I don't want to expose everything. Yada yada. Okay, now let's create a transient loop that will end up creating application. So we're gonna comment this. We are going to comment this as well, and we will start our, we're gonna create a helper. Is that helper? Let's just call it a, sometimes I kind of abuse the concept helper in software engineering. Helper is a piece of code that you use over and over, sort of a utility in different functionality. This one will be, yeah, it's just a function. Let's create a function def, which is meaning of definition. Create a function called create invoice. Now, if we use create invoice both on subscription transaction and the payments, and one-time payment transaction, invoice become a helper. So attributes, and what does it do? Let's paste that code. Oh, I was right. Let's copy everything here. Oh, let's copy this one. Invoice attributes. Okay, this is where we're gonna create our invoice. Of course, we have to check if it has been created, and then we just print. And this code is a synchronous code. It's a blocking code. But we're gonna run this code in async way. We're gonna create an event loop. To create an event loop in Python, let's import our famous async. Async, when async was on Python. I went 2 days doing deep research on this shit. Hey, that's, it is where it is. That's the way you learn. It takes passion. It takes commitment. It takes sacrifice. By sacrifice, I mean, spending a lot of time working on something. I'm not talking about blood. Matthew 7:7, seek ye shall find. Matthew 7:7 doesn't say sacrifice you will find. It says seek, keep seeking. Somebody will help you. You got found. Okay, let's create our async. Let's create an async method that will wrap this sync this synchronous class, right? We're gonna call that it's async. Of course, we have to use a synthetic sugar async def. Let's create handle invoice creation. Yeah. Let's name that invoice. Yeah, handle invoice task. Yeah, let's just name it something like this. Of course, it's gonna be a task. It's gonna wrap a task. Okay, and then we wait because the async or synthetic sugar expects the awaitable object. We use our async IO. We gotta mimic a thread. We're gonna use gather async IO to thread. So what's happening here? In compare, we have process and we have thread. We have thread, right? Thread, it's kind of like a, remember when, back in the day in 1816, when women will gather together, they'll just sit and then using some threading to create clothing, they have a bunch of thread. But within that threading they were doing, they have process. So a process contain one or more thread. If you ever get further in understanding multi-processing, multitasking in any programming language, you need to know first that the process contains one or more thread, right? It's not the other way around. It's process parent and thread a child. So what we're doing here with events, with the async IO, we are creating a loop, and the loop is kind of like a separate process. When you create an event loop, you create a process on the side, right? So, and then we pass a thread. Since thread handles a blocking code, we're gonna create our invoice. We call our create invoice as a function, not, we just call that as a function. This is interesting. Remember, we're passing, let me see the signature of to thread. To thread gets function arguments. List any keyword arguments. It looks like we need to pass. I'm checking the signature of the thread so I can know how I can use that effectively. The list arguments applied for this function are directly pass arguments supply for this function, run function in separate thread. So I think these arguments are arguments supply for this function. I think I have to do I'm gonna do this. Let me try to do this. Copy. and pass. Right? So we're gonna pass the invoice attribute as an argument, as a parameter, right? As a parameter on our task wrapper, our create invoice wrapper, and then we inject him so he can be used on the thread. Right? It's kind of like it's switching from one thread to a different process. I mean, visualization is also a good technique in computer programming. If you can visualize things the way it works, you can understand what's happening behind the scene. If you can't visualize that, thinking in abstract is not easy. It's really difficult. You have to visualize what you're doing, what's exactly happening behind the scene. That's the way you can figure out if something ever goes wrong. Okay, we can just we already have this, so we can leave it. Let's see what's gonna happen. Now we need to run our transient. We need to run our transient loop, which means we're gonna create a loop, and inside the loop we have a process. Inside that process we have a thread, and then we're gonna run that loop, and then we're gonna close it. But let's do something. Let's make sure that the creation of our invoice will be deferred a little bit. By deferred, I mean it's not gonna run the same times with this process. It's gonna run on its own process. So let's try to sleep a little bit. Async IO. We're gonna make this process to sleep a little bit. Let's do 3 seconds, or let's do 2 seconds. Of course, it doesn't have to sleep here. Right. This sleep will know. We know. Okay, we're gonna print something here. Let's print something here to say that's okay. We are done creating an invoice. Let's just do this. Okay. And then we're gonna run it here. Async RU run. What are we gonna run? We're gonna run handle invoice task. Handle invoice task, and then we're gonna pass invoice attributes. Okay, let's run our test and see. Remember, I'm not testing this async code. I'm testing what's happening to our endpoint behind the scene. It failed. Something goes wrong. Let's say subscription payments. Integrity on ID subscription payments. What are they saying? Inserts invoice subscription violates foreign key constraints. This is. So we arrive here. So I think we reach in creation. We good. I think it's we are failing something. Subscription payments constraints. Let's see what's invoice is made of. Valid foreign key constraints. What is the foreign key constraint? Subscription. Let's look at the foreign key constraint. It looks like a... What is the foreign key here? Payments. Let's look at that together and see these constraints. What does it do? Payment ID. They say payment ID is not present in table subscription payments. Oh, why though? Oh, I know. I understand that. Why it took me a couple minutes? They say payments. Oh. Oh no, we have to. Let's go. I did some. Yeah, what's going on? Why is this? Why you say it doesn't exist? Payments, yeah, payments. Oh, we are creating. We are creating payment twice. Do you see what I'm doing? Yeah, I can do this. Yeah. Yeah. So if app doesn't exist, we create payment. We can create payments here and then we create another payment here before responding. I'm guessing that's what I'm doing. It's not. Why it says no? Payment ID is not on the payment. Oh, let's do this. Let's go back on receiver. Let's comment this code. Let's comment these lines of code. What are we gonna do? We need to see if the payment is. Yeah, let's print payments here to make sure that we're getting our payments. Yeah, we're getting our payments. Why is saying that payment ID is not present in table? Oh, I see. Crazy. Y'all see what's happening here? This code is actually running faster than this code is actually running faster than our thread. Oh, that's crazy. So we need what we need to do. We gotta do this. We got conditional. Not condition. We got create a branching. So what we're gonna do? We are going to do this. If payments ID, then you go run the task. What is the error? What is that error come from? Okay. Oh, the if has to be, yeah. So if payment ID if you find the payment ID, then create our transient loop. I don't know if that concept still exists on Python 11 or 12, because that was on Python 9. Transient loop, I think it's still applicable because it's running. Why is saying it's valid for? I think this is a database issue. Let's go back. Look at that again. It's a database issue. We were close. Oh. What's the actual fail is happening here? That's crazy. Let's go back to receiver. But it does works if we create the field is payments and you receive a payment. It's crazy. If we remove all this code of if we remove this code of async IO, we just run it this way, it's creating, it's working, it's creating our. But if you run it with async IO, it does not. right? Synchronously, because they are on the same. Oh, I see. We need to install something. Okay, guys, since this the title of this video is it was synchronously sending email synchronously. It was not about async. Let's not spend too much time on trying to make this async. But I know what's happening. So what's happening is because we are on this thread. This is a thread we are on, right? As soon as we start using async, it's creating a async thread faster. It's creating its own thread, and that particular thread has to have a connection. It's kind of recognizing the creation of payment, because the creation of payment has its own connection here. So when we create a payment right here, it has its connection, right? Django DB connection. So we need to install this application called we need to install a Django Psycop binary. So this is a Django this is a Postgres. This is a Python package adapter. What am I saying? It's a Postgres adapter for Python to create a connection to Postgres via Python. So we need to install this package, update this package, and install Django pool, and install side 3 to create a pooling server, right? A pooling connections in the server. I'll recap that again. So the reason why the async is not working, because remember the connection on the server is thread based. By thread based, I mean we have only one connection per thread. Yes, that's correct. We have one connection per thread. Now in this thread, the connection has been created right here. Right here. And the continuation of this connection is the one that we're using on send the signal, because Django signal is just a function. It's not something special. It's just a function that abides to that particular thread, the current thread of connection. Okay? Now, the fact that we are trying to create a task outside of this thread using the payment creation, which is this object is bound to a connection, a creation of payments. It fails because we don't have a pool of connection. A pool of connection is the ability to have more than one connection to the database. So we're gonna do that on the next video, where we can create async. We're gonna create an invoice asynchronously. Okay, I'm gonna end this video here. I don't want to make it long again. Thank you for hanging with me for a couple of minutes. I will see you guys on the next one, where we go back a little bit on the async thing, right? So let's recap what we did. We check the coupon code, if the coupon code existed. Yes, we check if the payload has an application number. If the coupon code doesn't exist, we exit immediately, because the coupon code is compulsory. We send a 404 code to notify the user that, hey, that coupon code is a must. I show the code. If you go back to the video, you will see I detailed that endpoint step by step. What else we did? we check the application number. If the user supply the application number, we assume we are dealing with the one-time payment. If the application number exists, we create a payment, we send, we create a one-time payment. Remember, payments and the one-time payment, it's just a paradigm, the way you model your tables. But a payment is just kind of like a transaction. It doesn't really have a meaning. The one-time payment just signifies that we're dealing with the one-time payment. You can aggregate that to one table, which will require you to have a bunch of nulls, but I didn't want to deal with nulls on my payment table. That's why I create a new table, one-time payments. And we send in notification, we exit. If not, if the app number was supplied but doesn't exist on our database, we throw an error. We exit response by 401. This is all at the back end, and that's it. So this is just a high level, flow chart of what's happening to create a payment via coupon. Why I'm still hanging on this special coupon payments, because I'm preparing for the worst case scenario. I don't want ever the credit card system or the mobile system to get a hold on me when this application will be deployed, and then we unplug the mobile service, they unplug the credit card, kind of like you're restricting you, see if you can get money. No, I want to prepare for the worst case scenario. That's why I'm spending some time working on this one. Okay, I'm gonna end this video here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Okay, let's see that all the test is working on subscription. Let's see all the tests are passing. What am I doing? Test subscription. Oh, we found a new error. Credential not sent response. False is true. Where? 120. It looks like we change. Let's go to our we are checking user credential. We changed just the invalid credential. We just have to change the response. What am I checking here? Why it's not working? Maybe because we're using the correct user. We don't need to authenticate, of course. We need to authenticate, or we don't need to authenticate? What am I doing? Okay, let's go back to check this particular test, because let's bring back. Do I have a case name credential not test? See, that's why when you're doing tests, you just have to do all the case by case. If you are wrapping everything to one case, it's sort of let's see what's response content. Invalid user credential. That's what we're getting, right? So it will just invalid it. Invalid, yeah, it's invalid user credential. So so we just have to make this just invalid user credential. Okay, it works. Button. Now let's test everything. How many tests do we have? We have 50 tests now, which is small. We should have something like a 60 already. Yay! All our tests are working, but we need to add more tests. Okay, that's all I got. Now, before I end this video, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time to enjoy my music on the background. Let's enjoy that. Yeah, I like it. Trust me. Okay, bye-bye.